In this video, we'll see an example of groups working together to build an action plan based upon what was discovered and what was dreamed about in the previous steps of the community action planning process. Okay, group, so we've made it through dreaming and discovering. We've talked about what's working really well. We've talked about our big dreams for our community, what we'd like to see happen in the future. And now, here's where the rubber hits the road. We're going to work together in a big group in order to make an action plan to make those big dreams a reality. So, we're all going to work in a big group together, and we're going to be talking about a few different topics in order to make this action plan. But before we talk about those topics, let's just remind ourselves of what our long-term goal is. So we figured out this long-term goal during dreaming together. We connected our big dreams, and this is what we came up with. So our big long-term goal, our big dream, is to implement a district-wide, a community-wide network for families and parents to learn from each other about transition. So that's our big goal here that we're trying to accomplish. A district community-wide network for parents to connect, build relationships, and learn all of those important things about planning for life after high school. Okay, so in order to do that, we're going to have to figure out a few things. We have to figure out some short-term goals that get us to the long-term goals. We have to figure out the actions to get to the short-term goals. So how are we going to make those short-term goals happen? And if we're going to do these actions and activities, what resources, partnerships, supports, opportunities do we need and have to make those actions happen? So if we're going to do something as a community, we have to have resources to do that, right? So if you have any ideas about short-term goals, what we might do to reach those short-term goals, or the resources, partnerships, and opportunities that we might do for those activities, you can share those ideas to the whole group. Okay? So, I'm going to give everyone in the big group here some time to think, and when you're ready, you can raise your hand and we'll start hearing everyone's awesome ideas. Sure, go ahead.
I love the fact that building relationships with parents is our long-term goal. That's something that we've been wanting to do at the school for a long time. And I often think about the role that the PTA might have, how we could connect all families together, and maybe looking at school parent nights, those kind of things.
Absolutely.
I think that's a great idea. And one thing that I'm thinking about too is, since our district has 2 high schools, how are we going to connect across those 2 high schools? So I'm not sure where that fits in terms of actions or short-term goals, but I think that's something to keep in mind as we plan towards that long-term goal of a district-wide program.
Yeah, I think we have to start at the grassroots. We have to think about, are there families out there that really are active with the school? That might be a source of support. And I also am thinking about things like in Pennsylvania, there's something called Families to the Max. I think we talked about that earlier, and it's exciting to see how they're building their regional networks, and that could be a good flow of information sharing.
Absolutely. So these are some great ideas, and we'll keep working around as a big group and starting to build this action plan together.